you guys kind of pretty excited about this road trip? I mean, some tough opposition. Even Charlotte's playing pretty well, but as we talked about, a lot of stuff at stake every game. Kind of right there for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's good for us. We've been in this mode for a couple weeks now where we need all of them. So, we've had our struggles on the road this year. It'd be a good opportunity to go get some wins and get some tough wins, tough teams. I mean, two of the better teams in the NBA this year, and Charlotte is playing as good as anybody in the last couple of weeks. So yeah, it's a great trip for us.
Why do you think the road has been such a problem for you guys this year? Any theories?
Yeah, I don't know, Mike. I really don't know. But all I can say is, I think we just focus on the work that's in front of us. We can't do anything about what we've done so far. I think we're a different team today than we have been all year, and so we just got to focus on that and keep trying to make strides from game to game, practice to practice, and I like where we are right now.
You guys over the years have had so many different looks toward Embiid, and very much frustrated him at times.
Yeah.
How different will it be with Yak there? Not that it's ever one-on-one, but to maybe allow for a bit less of that chaos.
Yeah, it's another body at least, another body to throw at him. So we've thrown a ton of different coverages and different personnel at him, and Yak, we'll throw him in the mix and see how that changes things for us. But definitely not going to give you the game plan right now. But I think that obviously having a bigger body, a taller body out there to help at least contest and rebound and be able to box out and do some things, I think that will help us a little bit.
Does Embiid qualify as one of those bigs that, does he play in a drop a lot? And when he does play in a drop, is he one of those guys you can kind of pick apart a little bit?
They mix it up a little bit. I think, I think he's such a great offensive player. I think he picks his spot defensively. I mean, certainly has a capability to be an outstanding defender, and he's not a slouch on that end. He's just by his size alone. He's big enough to just stand in the paint, which is what he does most of the night, is just stand in the paint and scare people. But he's got his capability, but there'll be opportunities. He's not going to play super crazy defense the whole night. So we got to be able to try to find our spots to take advantage of, his guys screening and setting and rolling and just stay aggressive throughout the course of the game.
And that quality does have with just being huge in the paint.
Yeah.
Is it effective?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at their record. Philly's been pretty good, and they would not be a great team if he was a bad defender. I know we get to these, debates about MVP guys' defense, him and Jokic especially, but that's because they're MVP level players. It's not because they're bad defenders. So yeah, you could split hairs, but both of those guys are capable.
You mentioned Charlotte. A lot of people are going to be looking at this trip saying those are the two easy marks. But like you said, they're playing really well right now. What do you see as the difference?
Well, yeah, people are stupid, man. You know that. But for the people that watch basketball every day, and we dealt with it a little bit in Tampa as things start to shut down. You got a lot of prideful guys over there, guys that are playing for a lot of different things, playing up position, more opportunity. Dennis Smith Jr. is playing really well. They're flying around, they're scoring a ton of points. They got one of the best defensive ratings over the last couple weeks. So they've been playing good basketball. So that's a young team with nothing to lose, and they're going out there and playing their hardest every night.
Fred Pascal came into this season with big expectations of himself. How would you evaluate his season?
His season? He's been great, all NBA. He's came in, he wanted to be a top 5. He's looked that way to me. He's put the numbers up. He's had big performances. He's carried us all year. He's been outstanding. So we need him to have a great stretch coming down these last couple weeks and going into the playoffs. But Pascal's been amazing for us so far.
From last season to this, do you see the mid-range as the biggest area?
Yeah, it's always going to be the jumper. He has everything else. The jumper and the ways that he gets to it. He's unlocked new moves and new footwork and just different counters. And as a guy his caliber who is already, a great player to keep adding and to keep growing, the sky's the limit. He's got more in the tank too. So I'm not surprised by nothing, Pascal does. And, I'm probably his harshest critic. So he don't get much credit from me, but I know he's got a lot more to give.
A big game, obviously, from Scotty last game. Obviously, when Scotty's in his playmaking mode, what's the biggest improvement that you've seen from him this season?
The turnovers. I think just playing a possession game. He was in full control of the game from jump ball last game, and just seeing him taking that step and the game is slowing down for him. He's seeing the reads, he's getting more comfortable with our system and where guys are going to be. And the next step is just organizing and being able to kind of manipulate before the play starts, because he's such great with his reactions, and just his feel is special. So once he gets to the point where he can manipulate the play ahead of time, it'll take another jump.
There are a couple guys around the league who have millions of dollars on the line if they make All-NBA. What do you think of that being part of All-NBA discussion or contracts, and what do you think of some of the guys around you voting on those things?
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. I don't know. I think it's good for the winners and bad for the losers. You know what I mean? I think that we're all human. So with that, humans make mistakes, and it's tough to put that much money into you guys' hands. But yeah, I don't know. I think for the guys who've benefited from it, I think it's outstanding. I think that there's some guys who haven't that are going to miss out, and I think that this year is going to be a tough year to vote, because there's a lot of guys to try to get it down to 15. So luckily I'm not a voter this year.
Would you like to see a different voting system? Would you like to be a voter, or are you okay with it being...
I do what I'm paid to do, brother, and that's to show up here and answer these questions right now and try to go get a win tomorrow. That's not my job, so I don't have much input on that.
You mentioned it. When you look at Embiid and the volume he's scoring at, the volume of his usage, and his efficiency is kind of at a career high, I think, if you dig into that. How impressive is that? Just to be able to do both.
Yeah, it's really impressive. I'm just a fan of consistency and continue to grow. So he gets better every single year. He got better this year. He's just shooting the ball better. He's getting to the line a ton. Yeah, it's amazing. It's been amazing to watch. He's had an incredible year. And I think, Philly's lucky to have him. And, we got our work cut out for us. We got to go try to beat him. So I'm not going to, fan out too much trying to describe all his good qualities. I got to try to see how we can, come up with something to beat him tomorrow. So that's what I'm focused on.
I mean, you guys used to be, there's games I don't have to tell you which ones they are, where this team's, not this version of this team, is kind of shut down.
Yeah.
Is it possible to do that the way it was in the past? How's your ball
I mean, I think the struggles make you greater, and we've been a part of some great player struggles over the last couple of years. So, we've played Giannis in his earlier stages. We had Tatum in the bubble. We had Joel, obviously, 4 or 5 years ago. So I think the struggles make you better, and those guys are special players, and they go back and they look at the tape, and they got a whole summer to get better and try to eliminate weaknesses, and it's our job to try to exploit those weaknesses. But he's shrinking that list, or shrunk that list a lot, over the last couple of years. So he doesn't have much weakness in his game.
Thanks, Fred.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fred.
All right, how are you feeling about this road trip?
I mean, it's a road trip. Obviously, we'd rather play at home, but feeling pretty good about it. I feel like we've been playing really well lately. We just got to transfer it over to the road and come out with some good performances there.
When it comes to Joel Embiid, of course, he's quite the task to guard. What stands out to you about his game and the first threat that he presents?
I mean, it's just the duality between him being very physical and athletic, and then at the same time having really good touch and being a very skillful player. So you got to figure out a way to guard both, and it's going to take a team effort, but I think we're prepared for it.
Does it feel much different now compared to maybe 3 or 4 years ago, where if you took a 16-footer, maybe it's okay, I can live with that. And now at the rate he's hitting it, is it just I got to do something more to prevent that?
I'd say every team has different strategies in guarding it. Some team, I'd say we prefer to be on the aggressive side, try and get the ball out of his hands, try and let somebody else make a play. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just a matter of different mentalities. Some teams are going to be take the less effective shot, even though he's making it a very high percentage. Other teams are going to be more like us, I guess.
Is he better than he used to be?
Is he better than he used to be? I'd say so, yeah. I think he's improved every year. It's hard to tell. I don't watch that many Sixers games. So yeah, but I think he's better.
Is he the toughest guy you have to guard?
He's definitely up there. There's a couple different guys that are difficult to guard for different reasons. I always say he's tough because he's also good at drawing fouls. So me as a big, I have to be really careful about finding that balance between being aggressive and at the same time, I don't want to sit down on the bench with 3 fouls in the first quarter. So yeah, it's tough to find that balance against him.
Is the biggest thing for that just showing your hands, or is it different for a big man?
I mean, there's all kinds of different things. You got to show your hands. You got to know when to step up. You got to be the second jumper. You got to still be close up to him so that they're not just rhythm shots for him. You got to know when to just, I guess, give up on a play. Like when he has a step on you, like it's just 2 points. Sometimes it's not worth trying to make that extra play if it's going to cost you, yeah, a bunch of minutes on the court.
Is there anyone harder to prevent getting to their spot than him?
It's tough. I mean, I'm sure there's other guys out there, but again, it's the same thing. I'm sure he's up there with the best of them.
You've obviously been going up against Pascal the last few years, but being with him now back, day in, day out, night out, what's the biggest thing that stands out in his approach or maybe even his skill set?
I think the biggest thing that's changed over the years is just how comfortable he's gotten in his mid-range game. Like that's something that stands out to me because, I mean, yeah, I saw Pascal play and like we played him twice a year, but now seeing it on a daily basis, how comfortable he's gotten in those ISO situations between like multiple moves and then getting into his rhythm, mid-range shot is really impressive. The skill development there, I think that's the one thing that stood out the most.
Does he remind you of DeMar a little bit?
I mean, it's different play styles, but yeah, like I guess in that sense, they're similar with that mid-range game.
Did he have that bag as a rookie?
He did not. No chance. Absolutely no chance. He was a rim runner.
How does that change your thought process as like a
What do you mean, Pascal's game?
yeah, like say you set the screen for him and he gets into that ISO, like just like, hey, he's good, he's in his spot.
I mean, like, yeah, with guys like that like to play in isolation, a lot of times it's about getting him the right matchup. So sometimes you just set a screen to get a switch for him, and then space out to give him his room for his isolation. Sometimes it's about like trying to slip out of a screen or just confuse the defense for a second. There's different things to it. Like it's very different playing pick and roll with Pascal than it would be with Fred, for example. So yeah, it's just different mindsets, I guess.
How is the pick and roll different? I remember we talked about just the way that you know how Fred likes his screen set and just like the timing with that. How is it different playing off of Scotty?
I'd say Fred and Scotty aren't all too different. They're both like really looking for that pocket. So I'm trying to set the screen and then get out and be available in the pocket for the pass. I think the main difference is like maybe the angle of the screen. Like teams are gonna go under Scotty a little bit more than they're gonna go on Freddie. But if I get him going downhill, Scotty obviously is tough. Once I get him going to the paint, it's going to be tough for the defense to stop him there. So if I get the right angle and give him an attacking lane, that's going to be more helpful. With Fred, I'm trying to set the screen, maybe give him a chance to pull up right behind the screen, and then roll out a little bit later. Yeah, I mean, it's small details that are different, but.
Morning, everybody.
With Embiid, you're kind of in an interesting position because you've played him so much and so it's high stakes games, and have had a track record at times of stymieing him. How much harder is it to do now based on his growth and development?
Well, we certainly. You're right. We've thrown a lot of different things at them, and they've had a chance to look at them and adjust to them, etc. So obviously that makes it harder. Familiarity, right? So yeah, I mean, I think it's always still a lot of the same though from our perspective. It's a bunch of different matchups on him, right? I mean, if you put a smaller guy on him, he's going to take you into a post. If you put a bigger guy on him, he's going to take you to the mid part of the floor, top of the key free throw area. He's certainly got the screen and roll with him and Harden. That's Everybody knows and sees those numbers. So, I mean, I think I go into it pretty much from a straight up standpoint right now, right? Just considering that we could be playing them as well again, and just see how it goes. Go from there. Lots of changes, changes here and there, but not like probably a full game plan,
Is he a fundamentally different player than the guy who shot 35% against you guys? Or the guy, I'm thinking 2020 showed up here, he pitched a shutout against him.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he certainly feels really good about his perimeter shooting, right? And I think that enables him to not have to deal with a lot of extra bodies, a lot of extra bodying up, all those kind of things. He just clears, looks at you, and shoots over the top of you with his size, right? And seems like he goes through almost every game. He's just shooting it so well, like he just doesn't have too many bad games from that mid-range, right? It's like, it feels like he'll make 5 in a row, and that never feels good when you're playing against it usually, right? So that's one thing. I think the confidence he has in his perimeter jumper and even in his 3-ball and stuff makes it even more of a challenge, right? Because the post-ups, the early post-ups, the play call for post-ups, and then the rolling is also tough to deal with.
If Pascal came into this season with big expectations of himself, how would you evaluate his performance this season?
I think he's been pretty good. I don't like super study the numbers and where he was from a year ago, but I believe he's having some career numbers and some things, right? Especially assists and those kind of things. So, for me, we want those guys to be two-way players, right? And I think he's done that. I think he's been at times really, really good on the defensive end, right? And like with everybody else on the team, he has his moments where he's not. But I think I'm happy with trying to his development of being a two-way player, OG's development, Scotty's. We want those guys to play both ends and keep improving. The offense is the one everybody wants to see improve for everybody, right? Defense just kind of, you're playing hard and you're doing it right and working hard and contesting shots and grabbing rebounds and things. You can. That's kind of at a point where it does improve. I think with all those things improving too, but it's kind of less. It's not as easy to see maybe. So I'm happy with his. I think he's played good this year. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Do you feel like there's an extra sense of urgency or focus maybe on the road, this last road trip here?
Well, I hope so. I think that there should be. Anyway, I thought last night's game, we talked about that going in there. These games are important, right? Like we're playing for position, we're playing for something, right? Whatever you want to call it, positioning, And I thought we showed that. I thought we showed that after once we got into the game. I thought we showed it a lot. I think it shows itself. Like, are you continuing to show that over the course of 48 minutes? So now I think we're in that boat. I would say we need to have that mentality. Yeah.
You're not an all-NBA voter, but you vote for all-star reserves and stuff.
Yep.
When you look at the best players in the league and those kind of things and awards, how important is games played and showing up and
well,
the league?
I think I think that it's certainly a hot topic. It must be, right? I think they were going into that quite in-depthly last night on the broadcast. So it's got to be a factor, right? I think it's got to be a factor, and I think that what most people are calling for would be just some kind of set limits. That the NBA sets some limits about here's the number of games you got to play to be considered for those things. Seems fair to me, right? Seems fair to me that you got to take it in consideration, even though there's not a cut and dried formula for it yet. I think that's reasonable.
Why has the road been such a grind for you this year?
I don't know. I don't feel like it's been as as bad as the record kind of says it is. I just feel like, I don't know. We've had it doesn't feel like that to me, right? Like oh my God, we're totally two different teams or anything like that. I think we've had some. I don't know. Again, like the feeling to me is not as bad as the record. So we got a chance here to right that ship here a little bit. So let's see if we can do it. I don't want to get into scheduling or travel, any of that stuff. I mean, it's just kind of what it is. It did seem pretty intense early this year, right? Our one loss to Miami was off a 4 a.m. arrival, playing them the same day, so there's some of that stuff to throw in there too. But I kind of like where our heads are right now, and nothing we can do really to change it. But only way we can change it is by what we can do on this last road trip, really, right? Yeah. No, only noticing that they're winning all the time. Yes. So yeah, I do see the scores sometimes, and I know that was a super interesting series with Dallas, and they got somebody again. I don't have them all rattled off, but yeah, OKC. Yeah. So yeah, they're obviously playing well, which doesn't surprise me. That's kind of how it is, but that's okay. We know we gotta play well, man. Whether whoever shows up on the floor for the other teams or whoever we're playing or home or away, we got to play well if we want a chance to win.
Nick, I wanted to ask you about Eric Rory as well with the non-flop.
Yep.
This is his first year in the head coaching spot. How do you think he did? And your recollections of sort of interacting with him?
Yeah, I mean, I think that first of all, we kind of always treat these things as a 2-year deal. It's his kind of first, crack at being a head coach. And my take on it, we haven't done like the full review of it yet, but we've done a little bit. Take of it is about what you'd expect, is that it started a little slow for him, and handling all the things that once the games start is when it becomes a super challenge, especially in that league. Keeping those guys going after a loss or a string of losses or getting them to bounce back. I think he got better at that as the year goes on. I think you'd probably expect it to be new and difficult, and you got to hang in there, and I think that's where he did. I think overall we're happy and all that stuff. He did a solid job. Great experience for him. Only going to be better. He's going to know what's coming next year, right? I mean, geez, I can remember back to my first year in the D League. It wasn't very good, right? Wasn't very good, but I also remember as soon as that season ended saying, wow, here's 4 things we gotta be in front of to start the season, right? Like we gotta be in front of this stuff, like stuff that kind of takes you off guard in that league until you go through it. And a lot of it's just mentality of guys coming and going and getting your philosophies and your system, in a teachable manner for all the comings and goings and all that kind of stuff. And it's a tough level to coach at. It really is, but it is also a valuable learning experience, and I think he found that this year.
There can't be many leagues that are harder to coach. I'm sure maybe.
Yeah.
Where they're like firing guys every day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's some out there that we haven't seen or know about, and all those are pretty interesting. The one thing about that league, again, not nearly as deep into it as I once was, but it's one of the leagues where the playing field is like really level, right? Like it isn't like you can just go buy a bunch of stars and or scholarship them or NIL them or whatever. Like every night out there, you're going out there against a team that's really comparable, right? Yeah. So that is one interesting thing about the league in general. But the other part is it's a kind of even like you say, some of the European leagues who will make changes quickly, and sometimes several in a year, but it's kind of a constant coming and going that's probably unlike, I don't want to say any other league, but just about any other league, I would say.
Do you have baseball or Blue Jays opinions you want to share with us?
Just excited. Everybody's playing today, right? Everybody's playing today. Excited, going to keep my eye on the Jays and, of course, Wrigley Field.
Is there an update on Gary?
Still questionable. I don't know. He's not. He's still a little sore and stuff. I thought maybe these couple days would get him closer, but he's still in the questionable category.
Like you can see him putting up shots. Does he
Yep.
put up shots and then it gets worse? Is that-
I don't think so. I just think his just. I think it's his elbow. I think it's his muscles in his arm. Right. So I think it's just, again, it is still sore, but he is. It's not like there's. Like it's not preventing him, like you said, from shooting shots or getting good workouts in, but it's still just not quite right. And that's a tough one. I think we've been through that a little bit this year. OG had the bad right wrist, and even though it was kind of cleared to play, it just doesn't feel like it's coming off your hand very good for stretches for a while. But I say that again, I still expect him back here fairly shortly.
And the fact that he takes generally 2 or 3 games to get back up to speed means you got to get him.
He used to. He's not going to do that this time, Doug. All right, everybody. See you later.
Thank you.